for being here this afternoon. I know it's actually the graveyard shift. I don't know where sort of to pitch the time of the day. But yeah, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to share how we use AI in content development. I really hope that whatever we share with you today is valuable to you, and that maybe you can use some of what you learned today as well. Okay, so today we're going to share our thoughts and experiences on how we use AI to make content development processes more effective and accessible, and how we use AI to help SMEs develop high quality courses. Our team consists of instructional designers, educational media designers, educational technologists, quality assurers, etc., etc. And we work with SMEs in higher education institutions as well as corporate company training centers to develop a variety of online courses. I wanted to just start off by saying that we're not claiming that we are experts in using AI tools. We're not saying that what we do is perfect. We are also not here to share a long list of tools, because I think we all sort of already have our go-to tools that we like. But our goal today is really just, not today, it's always to help people work smarter and more efficient. So if we can help even just one person today, then it's really going to be a good day for us. Okay, so as you know, AI has significantly transformed instructional design practices and content development processes over the last few years. It's really not something that we were able to ignore, although I tried my best. It's something that we had to sort of decide on. How do we want to use it? Are we going to totally embrace it and use every tool that we can find? Or are we just going to use it to enhance the efficiency, quality, and personalization of the courses that we develop? So some of the key areas that I'd like to mention is the automation of routine tasks. Routine tasks meaning tasks such as proofing, editing, creating more engaging content, conducting research on a specific topic, thank you, Perplexity, writing course outcomes, etc. So those are some of the key things that we use it for. We've been able to enhance the quality of digital content significantly by using some of these tools. And of course, we are a business, so time spent on task is very important for us. And the reduction in time spent on task has been that AI tools have brought us have been very beneficial for us. Okay, so let me just move down here. Okay, so our team have also been guiding SMEs in using AI to make courses more accessible for learners, to help them cater for learners' individual needs, make learning more engaging, creating self-assessments, so that they can sort of gauge where they are in their learning, create rubrics, create case studies, create maybe a quick video in a unit in their course that is quite text heavy. So these are, some of the ways that we've helped the SMEs. AI tools has really empowered our instructional designers, and I think instructional designers all over, to focus a little bit more on their strategic goals, what they want to achieve with the specific course that they design with the SME, and also the quality of the course, in enhancing that quality. But I'm going to stop there and not talk too much and not share all of our secrets, but I think you sort of get the gist of it. Okay. So as a team at Mathomomayo Solutions, you can say that, Mary, it's fine. We've seen how AI has helped us change and enhance our content development processes and really streamline our tasks. And something that we've seen a lot, which brings me joy to my heart, is the pressure, the relief that that some of our SMEs that we work with that are inexperienced in designing courses, what the AI tools have done for them, because in their cases they don't know now have to start with a blank page. They sort of can get an idea of using when they use all of these AI tools in how to develop the courses and where to start, etc. So that's really been an amazing bonus for us. So everything that I've mentioned could make it sound like we only use AI exclusively to do all the work for us, and we just sit back and relax. But that's really not the case. We had to sit together as a team. I think it was a few years ago already that we sat together and decided or talked about how are we going to use AI in our day-to-day job. You know, what are we going to do? How are we going to use AI to enhance our content development process and help our SMEs as well? So what we do is we use AI just to enhance our content development process and practices, not to do it for us. So we use it with caution. We use it strategically when needed, but we make sure that the person that's behind it, you know, the person that puts in the prompts or the person that copies the text into the video creator really stays front and center. And that is also something that everyone in our team reiterates while they work with SMEs, that it's very important that you are the one that needs to sign it off and decide on what are you going to use, how are you going to enhance what the AI has provided, etc. So staying ethical and human-centered is really top of our priority list. And I think that's definitely one of our superpowers that we have in our team. So today I'm joined by two of our team members, Lerienne Roux and Liezl. They are both instructional designers. They have both worn all of the different hats in the development of content. Liezl will start off by talking us through the background of using AI in education and the value of the human critical eye. And Lerienne will talk about her experiences with AI tools and how we practically incorporate using those tools in our day-to-day while developing content. So how it will work is there will be an opportunity for questions at the end of our session, but also we're going to ask you to share some of your experiences as well, because that's why we're here today. We want to learn from each other, not just hear what we have to say, but we want to learn from you as well. So please use that opportunity a little bit later. Firstly, I'm going to hand over to Liezl, and then we will move on to Lerienne. Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Jani. So I just want to check, am I clear? Am I audible? Can you hear me? Okay, great. So by just giving me a thumbs up, who's ever searched on ChatGPT on how to create your digital twin to present on behalf of you? Because it's crossed my mind many times. So this is really great to be here with all of you. And I hope that what we say and share today will be interesting and engaging. So I'm going to start my presentation, and I just want to check, Jani, if it's showing correctly. And I hope that it is sharing my sound. So please, if it's not, let me know. And if it's okay, I'll just switch off my camera while I'm presenting.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jani. Okay, so the impact of technology on humanity. First of all, I want to say that I love technology. I've always loved how it's made our lives easier because it can compute at speeds and complexity that humans even can't imagine. And I'm specifically thinking about my washing machine. I would really be a grumpy person without my washing machine, and that is part of technology for me. But it's also made our lives a little bit more complex from a human perspective, and that is what I want to talk about today is keeping a human-centered approach. Okay, so now I want to play this, and I hope it plays. Can you hear it? So in that time, when this happened, we could get ourselves a cup of coffee until it got connected. So that is, if you know the sound, you'll also know that it's quite a long time ago, but it seems like a very long time ago. But if you can just imagine what happened in the last 2 years, it's been crazy, and it feels like this technology is developing at a daily speed. So I just want to move on. So we know that AI is not new. It's not new. In fact, when I searched for some information on it, I came across this article on the History Channel. That's it's a very interesting story about Architas dove. It's a wooden dove that he created that works with steam, and it could flap its wings and fly in the air. So that was kind of the first item of robotics that's ever been developed. Unfortunately, there were no sketches or anything found, so no one knows how it worked, but it's not new. So throughout the 19th century, people started imagining artificial humans or robots, as we would call them. And then during the 1980s, in the AI boom, there were many breakthroughs in machine learning and research about AI. And bit up to today, where we get to actually understand what AI is. So we're engaging with it in a natural way, and I'm saying natural way, and it's not actually natural, but it's become so part of our daily lives that it is a natural way for us, because we are having conversations as if with a human being. All right. So I don't know if you remember this, when we searched through Google and we had a lot of did you means. So Google would ask you, did you mean toothpaste? So we really had to delve through information to get what we really needed. And fast forward to today, we can actually just have a conversation and ask ChatGPT or Perplexity to summarize content for you. And this is where our students are. So they have everything at their fingertips. But the problem is that we see this and we assume that everything is correct and real and checked. So that is the danger. We need to be a little bit critical of it. So as we've been experimenting with all the tools and the models, we know that we have to really be critical about what we see and if it's real and if we can verify it. So the technology will always be evolving, but our core values need to stay the same. And now I just want to move to my next slide. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through it. And that is where the power of our professional learning communities come in. So in these learning communities, we have a range of expertise, traits, and skills. We have those forerunners that aren't afraid to jump in and test and experiment and share their findings and dive right in. But we also need the critics that say, wait, what is happening with this data? Where's it going to? Is it safe? So I think in our learning communities, that balance is always a good thing to practice. So having someone at embracing it, but with a little bit of caution. So yeah, like I said, we can't always trust what we get from ChatGPT, or we always have to refine it a little bit. Okay, so when I started in my very early years as an educational technologist, I had a very good mentor, and she was my go-to person when I started obsessing with a new tool. And she would say, "Oh, Liezl, this tool is awesome, but have you thought about the teachers and the students that need to use it? Is it actually going to enhance learning? Are you trying to teach a new skill? Or are you using it just for fun?" And I have to be honest that most of the times it was just because it was fun. So her reasoning really made me think and be critical about any technology that we use, because we have to be critical and we have to think about why are we doing it. Why do we want to use it? And of course, we've all seen the benefits of using AI. It's made our lives so much easier. Okay, so we try to keep a human-centered approach always in everything that we do. So when writing this, I use Grammarly to help me fix my tenses and my spelling, and I've made some magical adjustments to my reasoning too. And yes, I do consider Grammarly one of my most used AI tools, but sometimes it feels like Grammarly suggestions are sanitizing the real me, the authentic me a little bit, and then I just ignore it because I don't want to sound like a robot. So the points I want to make is that AI is absolutely magical, but we always need to think of the implications of the student on the student. And if we empower the students to navigate their professional journeys with confidence in their own knowledge, skills, and expertise, then we've achieved our goal. And we are fortunate to know that, and have experienced that learning and the meaning making and the mastery are the best rewards of any education or learning experience. So that is just like figuring something else and working hard to get to the answers. That is the reward. And today's students, their journeys look a little bit different than ours because it includes a different set of skills. Skills for the optical, ethical, responsible use of AI in the professions. And I think the most important question for me is, how will we guide them? So when searching for the answer, the following guidelines resonated the most with me. So to model the ethical use of AI, including transparency, demonstrating evaluative judgments by critically reviewing and improving the information that I receive from ChatGPT, and then promoting inclusion and supporting diversity by favoring and encouraging responses that are fair, unbiased, and built on accessibility principles. Yes, Natasha. Okay. Sorry, I just want to move to my next slide. So I want to say students benefit from your expertise as a teacher, or learning designer or educational technologist, and you are the leader, the guide, and the model, and that is your superpower, and it's awesome. So before I hand over to Lerienne, I just want to thank you for inviting us into your learning community. And I just want to say Lerienne is a genius when figuring out how to optimally use AI while keeping all of this in mind. So I'm sure you'll enjoy her presentation very much. So I just want to ask if you have any questions, or are there any questions for me? You can just open your mic if you want to talk. No questions. Okay. Sorry, I just want to check has it stopped sharing, Jani, or not yet?
No, it's still there.
No, still sharing.
Thanks, Liezl. You've broken the golden rule of over-promising, and now I must make sure that I'm not under-delivering.
No, you will not. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Liezl. Yeah, I don't have a presentation because I would like to just informally share my experiences and how our shoulders have been rubbing with AI and with content development and the change in seasons for us. So yeah, I think we're in such a unique time in design and development, and we can really never go back. And honestly, I don't want to go back. I've already grown accustomed to these methods, and in many ways, it's helped and enriched my life and our team's life, like Jani has said. So today, I really want to talk about how we're actually incorporating AI-assisted practices. And I'm calling it AI-assisted practices because, as Jani said, it's not like we're pressing a button and AI is just doing everything for us. It needs a discerning input and then a discerning editor at the end of it to review and refine everything that we do. For a long time, I think AI was this pie in the sky that everyone spoke of, ChatGPT and AI and robots, and everyone is there, they're going to take over our jobs. And we didn't actually know how it would impact our day-to-day lives. So yeah, it's like Liezl said, a fun tool to use and play around, with. But can we intentionally use them, and can they actually make our lives better? And the short answer is yes. We can intentionally use them, and they can make our lives better. But there's a but. We have to use it ethically, and we have to use it with discernment. So I would say the first and probably the biggest way that we've included AI into our day-to-day lives or our content development is with generative text. So that would be with tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity or whichever of the other hundreds that there are out there at the moment. And I mainly use it for idea generation, summarizing text, or just explaining content to me, because we're getting content from a vast array of subject matters, from corporate data protection to academic creative writing. And it's impossible for us to be subject matter experts on everything, and we don't need to be, but it does help if we have that context for the content to make more informative and subject specific choices in the structure, for instance. So I would ask ChatGPT to arrange this content in a logical structure so that I can put it on the virtual learning environment, whatever I'm using, in an informed way. I mean, it does help to know a little bit about the content that you're designing. And like Liezl, I'm also using Grammarly probably the most, although I'm not sure if Grammarly, the baseline Grammarly, if that falls under AI. I don't know how intelligent it is because it's just collecting all of the data and making suggestions accordingly. But those suggestions that Grammarly makes about your tone, that one that it says, change it to this so that you can sound more assertive or confident. And yeah, I have to say, I usually ignore that because I feel like it's not always culturally appropriate. Not in South African culture, and we sometimes work with British clients as well, and it's definitely not always culturally appropriate there. Maybe if we all start taking Grammarly's assertive suggestions, we would become a homo culture. And I don't know how good that is. So we still, and this is where the but comes in. with using AI, we still have a voice and a decision to make there. And we have to decide if we're going to accept the suggestions that it's making, because it cannot read all of those discrete cultural nuances. But it's still nice to know the day you want to feel like you want to sound a little bit more assertive, Grammarly has your back. Then on the media side of things, when we're creating media, we employ AI in quite a different number of ways. For example, I get quite a few lecture videos. So typically I would get a PowerPoint presentation and audio, and I have to redesign it and combine it and make a lecture video. So how I use that, I would ask, my first step is usually to take the audio and ask it to make a transcript for me, which it does so quickly now. It really blows my mind. I don't even have time to go and make coffee, and then the transcript is done. And then with that transcript, I ask it to highlight all of the filler words, so the ums and the ahs and the you know and the so's and the yes and all of those things. I highlight that, and then I can ask it to remove all of it. And I can also ask it to remove all of the long pauses in between. So yes, I do that first. Remove it, and then I can also ask it to enhance the audio for me. So if the audio, so sometimes I get a Teams meeting audio, and then that audio is not always the best quality, or it's never the best quality. But then it's over the last few months, that audio enhancement has really grown astronomically. It sounds, it can, with a really, that's with a press of a button, it can make it sound like it was recorded in a sound booth in an expensive studio. So that's really amazing. Again, here the but comes in. For example, with the filler words, it does a really good job of removing the filler words, but I always have to check it, because sometimes it cuts off a little bit of the next word or cuts off a little bit of the previous word. So I really have to go through everything, and I'm at the moment anyway, I'm too scared to say remove all. I go through all of them, and then I remove them, and I decide how much after the word and how much before the word I want to remove. And then yeah, and also with the sound enhancement, I can also decide how much of this, for what intensity I want that sound enhancement. Because again, sometimes when you enhance the sound, it also cuts off some words, because it assumes that some of the noises are background noises, and then it removes some of the actual dialogue. I didn't mention the tool. The tools that I'm using for sound enhancement is mainly Adobe's Premiere Pro, and then I also use Descript for the filler words, and that can also do some sound enhancement. Then on Adobe Premiere Pro, there's also on the video side of things, you can do morphing of frames. So if you had a cut, so there's a headshot of someone, and you want to cut out a word, then obviously that would cut out a bit of the video as well. And then there's a function where you can morph those frames so that it looks seamless. But I'm still struggling with that one. It's a really difficult one, and I think over time it will get more advanced. But if you have two very specific frames, then it can work, and I have gotten it to work. It's just a little bit tricky. Maybe it's more a user error than a product error. Then the next way that we're incorporating it using AI is text-to-speech tools, and they are really becoming more and more impressive by the day. I remember, I'm sure it was a year ago, I would put in text and ask it to spit out audio for me, and it really sounded very robotic. And now it sounds like people. I mean, you can change the accents, you can change, it can be male or female, it can be South African, Indian, British, whatever, and it sounds like actual people. Just today, I was playing around with Google Notebook. What is it? Google Notebook LM, I think. And you can give it text, either a PDF or even a web, an article, and it can spit out a podcast, a 2-person podcast for you. It's not even the text that's on the website or the article that you gave. It just interprets that text and makes a conversational podcast, which is mind-blowing. But how we actually use it is, especially for corporate clients, when they, for example, want to do an introductory video. And in our experience, academics usually want their own voice to be heard, or a real voice to be heard. But for corporate clients, it's not necessarily. It's usually training material, so it's not important that there's a specific voice attached to it. So then we would use these text-to-speech tools and even text-to-video tools like InVideo, where it takes stock footage or stock images and adds it to the video. I am not such a big fan of InVideo because it never does quite what I want it to do. But I'm sure in a month's time, it will be different again. And I saw that Adobe is also on Premiere. They have the new Firefly that's already on Photoshop, the generative imaging that it can do. It's going to have that for video generation as well, generating video. So it will be text to video, and then it's not stock footage that it's taking. It's going to generate video on a prompt, which I think is going to be mind blowing. I mean, pretty soon we won't even be needing stock footage and stock images. So that's really exciting. On the graphic creation side of things, I haven't always been too successful. And again, it could be user error. But so recently a client asked me to create an avatar for the course. And there wasn't a budget for a graphic designer to create a custom avatar, but she wanted the avatar to look like her. So it was a specific image that we needed. And I probably spent a day looking for things and testing and trying. And I have to disclose that I also only used all of the free tools and all of the ones that you don't have to sign up for, which doesn't leave you with very much else. But it was really difficult to get an avatar to look decent. I mean, and I mean, if a graphic designer is going to hear this, they're going to flip because, of course, it takes skill to create something like that. And when I did get it to work, I could not. I would have liked to have the same face, and then make it do different gestures. But then as soon as I put in exactly the same prompt, it would spit out something totally different. So I knew I couldn't use it. And again, probably in a few months' time, there's already AI that has memory, or I mean, there's definitely already AI that has memory, but some ChatGPT already has memory. So these tools will also have memory, and we'll be able to use them more effectively in that way. But for now, we still need our graphic designer to create our avatars if we want a custom one. If it's not custom, and sometimes you don't need a custom avatar, you can get one that you created with AI. But for this specific one, we still need our graphic designer. And then when I was thinking about creating graphics, I totally forgot about how I use Shutterstock, and I actually use Shutterstock quite a lot for creating AI generated graphics. And I think I forgot about it because it blends so seamlessly with all of the other stock images. So I would use Shutterstock mainly for banner images, which again isn't that custom. And it's really useful if you need a generic image. So yes, that's in a nutshell a day in the life of an AI user. I have a question that I would like to pose to everyone. So if you would like, you can switch on your camera and your mic and answer, or if you don't feel comfortable to do that, you can just type your answers in the chat. So my question is, do you disclose or reference when you are using AI? So yes, no, sometimes, maybe, why should I? Any any of those answers would be good. Okay, it looks like we have some very ethical AI users here. Ah, yeah, that's a good thanks, Rumanda. No, Natasha. Yeah, so the reason why I'm asking this is, I mean, this is at the forefront of all of our thoughts, especially in the academic space. How and when should you be referencing AI, and especially in content development? Should we disclose when we're using AI when we're developing something? Should we say, oh, I use this to generate ideas, or to create a structure, or to create a rubric? When should we and when shouldn't we? And in my research, I saw that not many institutions actually have policies on this yet. I think everyone is waiting for things to settle down, maybe, so that because it's obviously something that's going to be evolving and changing over time. So what I saw is that some institutions say, when you're, for example, writing a thesis or a paper, that in that methods section, you would describe how you use AI. And then, as Natasha put in the chat, I also saw some universities have policies on exactly how you should be referencing. So author name should be, for example, OpenAI, and then the title of the reference should be the initial prompt that you put in. Natasha, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a freelance worker kind of, but yeah, so I found like there's different attitudes for different clients that I work with. So, you know, one of the companies that I've worked with is an ed tech company that creates learning for American universities. They have a strict, they don't want their learning designers to be making use of any types of AI tools, and definitely won't reference it, because there's this fear that if the academic institutions that they work for or do projects for see that they're using a tool, people will feel that then the role of learning designers within this particular edtech space could be replaced. So I think that I'm finding a lot of resistance in those spaces. But, you know, I also work as a content developer. Specifically, I develop curriculums and documents for QCTO material. But there I can see that when you're writing training manuals or, you know, creating that learning, absolutely the space is there to say, you know, I'm using AI to write these training manuals, because it's more of a corporate space. So I think the academic circles tend to be a little bit more restrictive. in terms of using it and not wanting to say that they've used it. But yeah, the corporate space seems to be different. I don't know if everyone else's experience is the same.
Yeah, is there anyone else that would like to share their experience? Yes, Marie.
Yeah, I haven't had any resistance against using AI pictures, videos, or any of those, but the app that I use is Lumen 5, and it still has that stinger at the end that says this video was created by Lumen 5. So it does acknowledge which application I used to create the video with, but it doesn't acknowledge in the sense of this was created by AI. Although anybody that knows Lumen 5 will know it is created by AI. But yeah, I haven't got any resistance to using that at this point.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Yeah, I think, and this is my personal opinion, I think it really doesn't help that there's resistance. Students are going to use it whether you know about it or not. I don't think we can fight it anymore. And to me, it makes the most sense that there's transparency from both sides so that we can learn how to use it effectively and ethically. I mean, the aim of transparency is not to reveal your secrets, but to describe the methods that you're using so that others can also use it informed and ethically, especially students. I think we have a bigger responsibility to be open and transparent in the ways that we're using it, and maybe rather see it as a way of working more effectively than seeing it as a way of cheating. Because, I mean, what the saying goes, work smarter, not harder, and this is working smarter. I also think we have to really decide how we're going to disclose it. A while ago, I bought some laundry detergent, and at the back of the package, it said, "This packaging was produced with consideration of the environment." That doesn't really tell me anything. Can I recycle it or not? and I feel the same about AI use. I think we should be, in my opinion, I think we should be transparent and honest about how and when we're using it. Obviously, I'm not going to, at the end of an email, say, I wrote this email with AI assistance. I don't think that's necessary. But and I think over time this might become clearer about where and when and how we should be disclosing it. But my feeling is that when you're selling something or publishing something, then it should be disclosed. And I think that also motivates the AI user to use it in a more ethical way. If you're saying how you're using it, then you think twice about how you're using it. And what you're including and what you're excluding. Yes. Any other questions, concerns?
Hey, thank you, Lerienne. Thank you, Liezl, so much for your parts of the presentation. We really appreciate it. I think it will be, I'm curious to hear what everyone's role is that's in the room. So if you, those that don't mind, if you want to share with us what your role is, your day-to-day job, is it in ID? Are you a lecturer? Please share it in the chat. That would be quite nice to see what everyone is doing. Let's see. Hey. Okay, so far we've got quite a few IDs that's joined us, more learning designers, content developers. Ray, you are in good company. I see there's another educational technologist. Learning and design department. Okay, Jade, you can ask us if you want to know what the life of an ID looks like. Okay. All right, so we are in the company of people that do this every day, just like us. So it's quite nice, quite refreshing. And I'd really love to learn. We'd love to learn from you. Who of you are using AI in developing content already? Maybe writing some of your outcomes or reviewing the outcomes or writing introductions to units, for example. Is there anyone that would like to share? People can really switch on their webcams. We feel very alone on the screen.
We're speaking into the AI void.
Thanks, Marie. Has anyone used, before I give you a chance, Marie, has anyone used AI to create assessments? Okay, you can give a thumbs up if you have. Okay. Marie, yes, your hand was up.
I see many times when we're busy with the conceptualization phase of modules, the lecturers struggle to write assessment criteria. So I've used that a lot. So then I actually take the information that the lecturer has already provided. So it's not like it's thumbsucked or ChatGPT generated or any of that. I feed the purpose statement and I feed the learning outcome because I do it outcome per outcome. And then I say suggest a few assessment criteria. But the AI was definitely trained somewhere in a specific way because it gives you like a recipe and it looks at skills and it looks at knowledge and it looks at all kind of, yeah, it's all of these things. So many of the things at that point I don't want. So I need to just go and filter it a bit and then I send it to the lecturer and said, all right, now you refine it further. But then I also take it one step further and I ask it to generate scenarios for me based on that, or like an activity that includes quite a few of the learning outcomes. So I help to make suggestions to the lecturers for that as well. But I haven't used it for like multiple choice questions. I know people have, but that I haven't done yet. Well, but more the other kind of assessment, scenarios and things. Yeah.
Okay. And have you also found that although it has created a scenario that's actually, it could fit in perfectly, you still need the lecturer to read through it and see if it does make sense for them. Will they be able, does it really link to their content the way that they want it to?
Definitely, but it's actually surprisingly good as well. So
yes.
I was working in it's a module in the sports and exercise health program, but it's more like a physical health kind of a module. And I've given it a little bit of information, not a lot, with my basic knowledge. And I said, create the scenario. And I've sent that to the lecturer. She was very impressed with me. And then I had to confess it was not me. But she was so surprised that the vocabulary used and everything was so fitted to the scenario. And then she just refined it. But there's always that going back because they are experts in the field. So there's not a theoretical lecture that I had. It was clinicians. And so they definitely go back and refine and add a bit more to it.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that the end goal is not to use AI. The end goal is to create relevant quality content. And if we think about it that way, we feel less stressed about saying when we're using AI. It's just something that we use to reach our goal.
And it makes our life a bit easier. That is what it does.
Yeah, and I mean the students' learning experience as well, right? So sorry, Nikki, I'll give you a chance just now. So the experience of the students, because many times with especially academic courses, the lecturers have their content that they need to present to the students. They have their assessment set up. Everything is all set up, and now you have to build it online. But you realize that you need an introduction to the specific topic, for example. Then you can use I mean, the lecturer doesn't always necessarily have time to write that introduction. So you can use as an ID, you can use the AI to write that introduction. And then the lecturer can just edit and see, enhance it and make sure that it fits. But yeah, it helps a lot. Nikki, you had your hand up for 1 second.
I was just going to say that, sometimes a blank canvas is not always nice, and it's not even when you're writing, to just get that initial idea. So with the scenarios, I definitely also do that. And also, even though I'm first language English, the way that it writes is so much more exciting than the verbs that I'm going to use. So it does help you just get your thinking juices going. And also, I mean, even those intro paragraphs, if you can give a draft version to an SME, it's much quicker to get a response from them than to ask them to, please, will you write a paragraph?
Agree.
Yes. Very important. Thanks. Is there anyone else that would like to share something, or maybe you've got a challenge that we can help you think of a solution? Mary, you didn't bribe everyone enough, really. You needed to say you'll give vouchers for the one that speaks the most or something like that.
Next time.
Next time. Yeah, I think that's from our side. That's our story. I really hope conversations like these can continue online or wherever on LinkedIn. It will be very nice to learn from other people as well. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
everyone.
Well, before you all run off, thank you, Jani and team, for inspiring us, and also just pointing us again back to where it all started, keeping the human in consideration. Use your tools in a way that helps you and engage the students and increase or enhance the learning experience. And then going forward for the Visionary Circle, please keep an eye on our LinkedIn profile. We will announce the next date there, which will most probably be in November. But yeah, and then I hope to see you then there as well. And if there's any suggestions for topics that you want to discuss on a platform like this, please feel free to contact any of us, me or Rumanda, or just post your suggestion on the LinkedIn profile. And again, thank you so much for setting aside this hour to come and listen to the three very experienced ladies. Thank you, everybody.